Let's talk about West Virginia, shall we?
Okay.
You want to take this one, or do you want me to?
Sure. Okay. Well, as it stands, the Build Back Better law needs full support of the Democratic Party to pass into law. Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia continues to say that he will not vote for this. And the writing has been on the wall that he was going to go this way for weeks now. So for us all to all of a sudden act surprised that he's not going to go along with it is political theater. Democrats are saying they still intend to put this up for a vote, but they don't think it will happen until January, which is fine. And now Senator Joe Manchin he is the punching bag for the Democratic Party at this point.
He may have actually given them a Christmas miracle.
Why do you say that?
Because by him becoming the villain, they get to play good cop, bad cop now, right? And so he is now vilified. I mean, you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez basically coming out saying this guy needs to go, says that this is an egregious breach of the trust of the president. A lot of people saying this is the end of Biden's presidency if he doesn't get this in action. Here's a tweet. Joe Manchin, if I can't explain, this is what Joe Manchin said, if I can't explain Build Back Better to West Virginians, I can't vote for, is what he said. And West Virginians said, hey, we want Build Back Better. How do we explain that to Joe Manchin, who doesn't seem to get it?
Yes. Okay. But the problem I have with this narrative is like Joe Manchin doesn't care about people. Joe Manchin doesn't want these things Joe Manchin has not said that he doesn't want paid parental leave or preschool or secondary education.
Lobbyists just haven't paid him enough to get on board yet.
Right. But he is saying he will support those things, but not in this legislation. He also, this doesn't exist in a vacuum. We just hit a debt limit and have to continually do emergency spending legislation in order to pay for the things that we've got right now. And there is absolutely a concern about a budget that should not be ignored. Right now, obviously, this is the company line, but there is a we're pretending that we're not also doubling down on military spending. But at this point, as it stands, this law is not paying for itself.
But West Virginians are fighting back today.
Not all of them are, though.
Not all of them are, but we have breaking news this morning. I'm on one of the major stories of the morning, which is that the 80,000 member coal union, miners union, came out this morning just before the show, and they're calling on Manchin now to support the Build Back Better plan.
But I do think that this is the whole anti-Manchin propaganda. I do think that he's been very clear about what his concerns were all along. He has not. I don't think that he led them on thinking. He said, "Well, I'll look at the numbers again," but we knew all along that he was not for this. And yes, we also know that he is backed by people who will benefit from Build Back Better not being passed. I'm not saying that this is an altruistic move on his part, but I do think this, everybody hates Joe Manchin, he's only acting in his self-interest, is also a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to what the story is that he's told us all along. Now, he got in this Twitter fight I guess he didn't get in a Twitter fight, but Bette Midler decided to call him saying he wants everybody to be like West Virginia, poor, illiterate, and strung out. And then she had to apologize for this because obviously that's a really mean thing to say about an entire state. And I think that this is all just a little bit too reductive at this point. Joe Manchin is operating against everyone's best interest. And we should have known. Well, of course we should have known. He said he was going to do this.
Yeah, but the thing is, he comes out and says that, West Virginians, they're going to spend it on drugs. We give them this child tax credit. We're giving them this additional money. They're just going to use it on things that they don't like. Basically, you don't know how to spend your money. You don't know how to spend your money. You have West Virginians who are taking to social media. Here's a West Virginia mom who says, "Look, dear Senator Joe Manchin, this is our son Parker. He was born on the 15th of December last year. I'm unable
this year."
Oh, yeah. This year. I'm unable to breastfeed him, so we are strictly formula fed. We could use our child tax credit on buying the cans of formula. It costs $25 each, plus diapers and all other essentials. Please reconsider. So West Virginians, and now the 80,000 large coal miners union coming out with their message this morning. saying, look, Senator Manchin, the legislation includes several provisions that would aid coal workers, including extension of a fee that helps fund benefits for workers suffering from black lung and tax incentives that would encourage manufacturers to build facilities in coal fields and to employ out-of-work miners, said Mine Workers of America International President Cecil Roberts. For the first time, the bill would also penalize employers that deny workers their rights to form a union. Roberts said, we urge Senator Manchin to revisit his opposition to this legislation and work with his colleagues to pass something that will help keep coal miners working and have a meaningful impact on our members and their families and their communities.
But are we then, so because we all are united around this disappointment in Joe Manchin, are we pretending that this is otherwise a really good bill that would solve all these problems listed in that article you just put up?
No, I think we've been pretty clear on this show that there's so much pork. There's so many pet projects filled into this thing. I kind of come back, though. I come back to the Andrew Yang way of looking at these pork projects. Mm-hmm. That, so what? So what? They build a friggin' bridge with a politician's name on it. If that means that actually we're going to help the elderly, if that means we're actually going to get money for families, if that means we're actually going to install an electric grid in the United States,
but there's just so little in this bill that is actually meant to help. You know, it's not really, there's no secondary education.
There's also no transparency as to where the money actually goes once they get it.
Yet. Right. And we'll find out after it's passed.
Well, we know what happens with this money, and that's the problem. A lot of times it goes to the states. That's certainly the way it was in the infrastructure bill. Remember, I hope we don't conflate the two of these bills. That has been a major problem with the mainstream media, is conflating the Build Back Better bill, which is meant to be the human infrastructure bill, and then you have the infrastructure bill. So you have these two bills that are two different things.
And one got passed just fine,
because
right?
It has all sorts of big projects for Wall Street and everything else. And so that's going to, they're going to build bridges, they're going to build railways and things like that. But a lot of that money gets handed out through the states.
Now, look, progressives were pissed off at what got taken out of Build Back Better to start with. And now they're pissed off that it's not passing because they feel like we already were, we were not getting what we want, and now we're getting zero. We already gave up half. Now we get zero. But I just can't get on board with the fact that this was already a good deal. It's not. It was only going to lead to more inflation that already is a problem, and give people just a tiny bit of money that will be worth less by the time it gets to their pockets. So it's hard for me to be sad that Joe Manchin did this. I would be happier if it did get thrown in the garbage and redrafted. The problem is any redraft is going to suffer this same fate.
Well, the illustrative Carp in our super chat says, and then you get $778 billion for defense. Why is no one asking how we pay for that? Manchin is just a player and it's a game. It's all bull poop. Yeah, I mean, there's no debate. So on the one hand, we're so upset that some of this money might go to a hospital of a friend in Congress. Okay, fine, I get that. But you're also spending $778 billion a year to bomb other countries.
Yes.
So I'll take a bridge with a politician's name on it any day of the week if that means that certain people are actually getting helped.
So what the swaddled baby
draws. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to point out that the reason this swaddled baby tweet is important is because the baby was born on December 15th, which happens to be the last day of the child tax credit, right?
Right. So
everyone who's been enjoying some freedom to feed their children on a time when inflation is really a problem will not benefit. This mother will not benefit from this, right? Her baby was born too late.
The child tax
she will get
gone.
nothing for any kind of formula or breastfeeding or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say this should really open your eyes to the fact, like, we're always like, praising Bernie Sanders and all this other stuff. This just shows you the power that one senator can have. I mean, there's people actually referring to Manchin right now as President Joe Manchin because he's basically has more power than the president right now, and has used that power. So, why doesn't Bernie Sanders use this power when the situation is the other way around? So it just shows you how much power a senator can have if they use it. And that should tell you something about Bernie.
Well, AOC specifically saying, look, we were warned about this, as Natalie was pointing out. Like, we were warned about this months ago, like that Manchin was going this way. We all knew this was going to happen. Like, this is not a mystery. Mm-hmm. And she said it's not Manchin's fault necessarily. She said it's it's a failure of the Democratic leadership. So she's really pointing her fingers at Chuck Schumer. She's pointing her fingers at Nancy Pelosi. That's the leadership that's failed in this situation. And, you know, there's a lot of people saying she was going to run against Chuck Schumer if she felt like the progressive agenda was falling apart. Now there are people saying run for office, run against Senator Schumer and primary him. And I think she might win. I think she could actually win a primary against Chuck Schumer if she wants to.
And she's furious that she voted for the infrastructure bill when they were promised that they were, you know, again, we said it on this show, like, why are they believing that promise? They said, no, vote for this, and then we'll get to Build Back Better. Yeah. And this is exactly what they were promised would not happen.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, when are they going to stop? Like, is this going to be the last time that that's going to happen then? Like, okay, so now the progressives are like, never again. You're not going to screw us again. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, twice, shame on me, right?
Yes.
Is that going to be their attitude now, or you think they're still going to?
No, they're never going to learn. They continued because they're listening to their leadership. You know, Nancy Pelosi promising them that they'll make this happen. They'll get this vote. And then Senator Schumer failed to do it in the Senate. So Nancy Pelosi kept her end of the bargain, right? She passed it. She passed it, sitting now in the Senate. Now it's Chuck Schumer. And she can run against him and primary him and get him out of there if she wants. That's the next, I guess that's what you put your money where your mouth is, right? And take to the road.